Mr. Shintaro Wada. Mr. Wada's speech is entitled Keys to World Peace. Mr. Wada, please come to the podium.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In 1795, an essay which discussed about peace was published. The title is Perpetual Peace, a Philosophical Sketch, written by Immanuel Kant. As you may know, he is one of the most famous philosophers. In his book, he suggested some opinions for peace. For example, he thought the union of nations to prevent war is the only state of law compatible with the freedom of nations. This idea led to the establishment of the United Nations. His writing could be useful for the present. I'm going to talk about world peace based on his opinions. Kant said, in time, all standing armed forces must be abolished completely. First, let us think about wartime and peacetime. According to the Charter of the United Nations, Article 2, Paragraph 4, all members shall refrain from the use of force against the territorial integrity. We know the rules in war are legislated by law, but we do not know how we will behave in times of emergency. Rules may be breached in such cases. No one can deny that there is a possibility of the usage of illegal or nuclear weapons. In fact, many citizens were killed in World War II, and 2 atomic bombs were dropped. 70 years ago, my grandmother suffered from the bombing in Nagasaki. Fortunately, she escaped death, yet since then, she has been suffering from cancer caused by radiation. My grandfather was also a victim of war. He was enlisted during the war and then used as forced labor during the Japanese detention in Siberia. Neither of my grandparents were willing to talk about World War II, but I assume it is because their experiences are beyond description. Knowing their sufferings, I strongly believe any war must be avoided. As mentioned earlier, the removal of standing army may help achieve peace. Moreover, if all nation states can agree on the renunciation of war, governments would use money for welfare or something instead of war expenditure. The question is, how can we solve a conflict between nations without military? Here, I would like to propose improvements in the functions of International Court of Justice, ICJ. It is the primary judicial organization of the United Nations, and its rules are to settle legal disputes between nations and to assist international agencies and the UN General Assembly. I'm suggesting improvements in the ICJ. First of all, I'm going to point out to its problems. Now, a judicial trial should obtain agreements from both countries involved. For instance, when one country wants to settle a territorial dispute, but the other does not agree, a trial cannot be executed. The other problem is that once a judgment is made, it cannot be appealed. If these problems are solved, ICJ can play an important role in settling disputes. My opinion is, trials should be held without agreements from both countries. And it should adopt the 3-trial system, aiming to fairer judgment. With these changes, the ICJ will increase in dignity and authority in international society. This idea might resolve some international conflicts, but this is not enough to realize a peaceful international world. Peace means not only solving problems between nations, but also preserving domestic order, I believe. The next key to world peace is education. What comes to your mind when you hear education? Some people say it means teaching how to reading and writing. Of course, it is very important. A survey conducted by UNESCO showed that about 1 in 6 adults is the condition of illiteracy. Developing countries tend to manifest low rates of school attendance due to poverty. The government must provide economic support for the poor. Furthermore, I redefine education as passing peace onto the next generation. Japan is known as a peaceful country since we have been felt remorse for tragic war. My grandparents told their experiences of war to my parents, and we should span into the succeeding generations, from parents to children, and to grandchildren, and to great children. Recently, a mothers' group demonstrated against war in Japan. This means there is surely exists of education. When we educate children, we need to hand down tremendous sufferings, share these each other, and instill peace into the next generation so that peace will remain for infinity. In conclusion, war should be abandoned because of the risk to people on the earth. The ICJ should replace war as a solution to violence. And education is essential for peace. 220 years have passed since Kant's essay was published. From the time, we have experienced 2 world wars and the Cold War. Now, we are facing economic crisis and fighting against terrorism. He said, perpetual peace is not an empty ideal. It is a task imposed on us all to achieve. World peace must be striven towards by first creating peace in each of our hearts. Let's think about world peace and let's create a world at peace. Thank you for your time.